Unit 7, using trig formulas. So there's going to be some formulas that I give you, and it's simply plugging in and then doing order of operations to simplify. Lesson 7.1 is called double angle formula with sine and cosine. So we've seen this before when we have cosine of 2 theta or 2x or 2 times anything. It's saying the angle inside of here is being doubled. So there's two different ones I can use. One of them has cosine in it, whereas the other one has sine in it. And in both those cases, you'll plug in that sine or cosine value, you square it, take it times 2 and then minus 1, versus this one is 1 minus sine squared. Okay, so let's assume that theta, or our angle, is a positive acute angle. So acute angle means less than 90. That means it exists in quadrant 1. So we don't have to find anything with the reference angles. It says given cosine of your angle is the ratio of 20 over 29. So this is the ratio of the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. You don't really need to know that, but I want you to remember that we've done this before where we come up with trig ratios. It says find cosine of double this angle. And so we can't simply just double the sides. That doesn't help. We're trying to find the angle and then double it. And so what we can do is pick one of these formulas. Since we know cosine, we want to pick the one that has cosine in it. Otherwise, we would have to find sine and do Pythagorean theorem so that we get the opposite side of the triangle. We don't want to go to that much work. So we would have cosine of 2 theta equals 2 times our cosine value of 20 over 29. Remember, that means that cosine is squared, minus 1. You have to do order of operations where you do the exponent first. So 20 squared would be 400, 29 squared is 841. Take that times 2 minus 1. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all on my calculator like that. And then I'm going to go math, enter, enter, and you get negative 41 over 841. So just because we said the angle is positive in quadrant 1 doesn't mean we can't get a ratio that is negative. And that's your final answer, is just this fraction. Right, number 2, you're given a sine ratio. They want you to find cosine of 2 times your angle. And so this time I want to use the bottom formula. Since they give me sine, I can just simply plug it in. So I'll have 1 minus my sine of my angle squared. And so again, you can just plug it on your calculator because this is a pain to try to square those numbers and get a common denominator to be able to subtract, so just put it in. And then math fraction. 144 over 1,369. Can't simplify anymore. Okay, and then the second part of this is now using sine of 2 theta formula. Number 3, we're given cosine and not sine. So our formula actually needs a sine and cosine ratio. So I am going to have to use Pythagorean theorem because cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Remember, having a triangle, it doesn't matter which angle. Let's say this is my theta angle. The adjacent is 21, the hypotenuse is 29. I'm trying to find this opposite side. And so it would be 21 squared plus x squared equals 29 squared. We should be really good at doing Pythagorean theorem by now. And then the square root of 400 would be 20. Okay, so that is now my opposite. So sine of theta is going to be my opposite, which is 20 over the hypotenuse, which was 29. Okay, now I can use the formula. 2 times my sine ratio times my cosine ratio, which was given to me up above, 21 over 29. And again, I'm just going to multiply So it's really multiplying 2 times 20 times 21 is 840 on top, over 29 times 29, or 29 squared, is 841. Or just put it all in your calculator at a time. Let's make sure that doesn't simplify anymore. No. So that's your final answer. KN4 is very similar to that, other than now they're giving us a sine ratio. So now we need to find cosine to be able to use this. So this is my opposite, or my y, over my adjacent, which is my hypotenuse or my radius. I need to find the adjacent. And so I'll have 28 squared plus x squared equals 53 squared. And you should get 45. So cosine of my angle will be 45 over 53. So I'll have 2 times sine of theta, which was the 28 over 53, times 45 over 53. So I just find it faster to do it like this, but it's whatever you want. 2,520 on top over 53 times 53 is 2809. Let's see if that simplifies. It does not, so that's your final answer. So you get really, really funky fractions.